to minimize the risk for my client, I'd be really showcasing our success stories, right? Or how do you approach the contact you've been calling on to lead to the proper contact decision maker? And I just mentioned how I would do that. So how I would do that is just ask, say, look, I don't want to waste time. I want to serve your company the best I can, but I need to speak to the decision maker. And if they're not willing to let you through that gate, then you might have to let that client go, right? Because then you're just spinning your wheels. And finally, here's another scenario you might encounter. What would you say to a client that was using you to benchmark your company's offer versus their current vendor without losing your cool? So in other words, they're shopping you. How would you approach that situation? So how do you get the buyer to take an action now or get an agreement as to when they will be able to make the buy and sign off on the deal? So those are some scenarios you might encounter in real life and real world selling. For me, if I knew I was being benchmarked or they were shopping me, I would do a couple of things, and I've done it. I've asked to be the last quote, let me know your best quote, and if I can beat it, I will. Because I don't want to waste my time doing quotes. I used to do quotes in a much different industry, and they used to take me about a half hour to 50 minutes to prepare. I put a lot of work into them, actually, and a lot of description and terms and conditions and a little sales letter at the beginning. So I would just ask point blank, look at, are you shopping this? If you are, we're not going to be the cheapest, but we're going to really do well by you. And if you are shopping, and if it is a price only decision, then give me your best price. Let me see if I can match it. If I can, I will, and if I can't, I'll say, way to go, you got a good deal. Sometimes you got to just walk away, right? And again, just be point blank, but not overly oppressive about it either, right? You don't want to be overly oppressive. So these might happen in your sales presentations and when you go in and you present to a client. These things are real, right? Something else you might encounter is an objection. Client might say, not sure, the price is too high. I don't have time, or I got to get others in the office to decide, or I need my wife or my husband to help me with this decision. So my question to you tonight is, what is an objection? What do you think it is? Anybody out there want to chime in?
David, it's Ileana.
Oh, good, you are there.
I am here. I've been listening. I think for me, it depends on the context of the objection. So when you're doing a sales presentation to a panel, a group of people, each of them are coming into it with their own very subjective hats on. And so the objections could come from any part of the room in terms of the person who's representing finance or operations or marketing. So I wouldn't put it so much as an objection, but more of a probing. They may want more detail. Those are the situations that I found myself in where I may make a statement and it may be too broad, and they're looking for more information and more detail in order to be satisfied with the answer.
Okay. All right. So they might want more detail. However, they might say, yeah, it's a pricing issue, or we need more time, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And sometimes it is price, and other times it's, I've encountered these sales presentations in an RFP context where you think that they're on a path to make a decision, and they may not necessarily be on the same path you think they're on.
Right. RFPs are tricky. really tricky because you're kind of going with your best guess, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I find, typical objections are usually price driven or a trust thing. Maybe they have a trust issue or they don't have all the details or all the information, Ileana. So I find those sort of typical. Are they good or bad, do you think? Do you think objections are good or bad?
I personally like to hear the objection because then I can have a better understanding of where that individual is coming from so that I can respond to it
Right.
or come back with more information. So I find it useful in terms of a fact-finding exercise.
Yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. They're a good thing to have because an objection is in reality is your customer stating a need they didn't know existed. Does that make sense? So they're telling you what they need. Well, we need something on price, or we need something on quality, or we need something on a reassurance, or we need a second opinion. They need something. It's always an objection is really a need. So sometimes when we hear it, like typical objections like time, money, others in the office, or they don't know you enough, you're too new, just simply ask, like, what do they need to kind of make that kind of go away, right? For it not to be an objection. So can I share a methodology that might help you in future? And that methodology is called put your hats on. So think of bringing your hats into the sales presentation component. And HATS just stands for, it's an acronym, for hear it out. Hear out the objection. Sometimes we get a little nervous and we think, oh no, an objection, that's it, I've lost the sale. That's it, I'm done, right? So just hear it out, then accept it, thanks for pointing that out, and thank them. So hear it out, accept it, it's not personal, it's they're stating a need, and then thank them. Say, hey, Joe, that's great. You know, I understand money is an issue. It's a big issue for a lot of people, so thanks for sharing that. And then ask them to solve their own need. Ask them what they want. So, and then at the end, you can now decide whether or not you want to do business with that client, with that prospect, and is it even possible to solve their need? Maybe their need is too great. Maybe they want too big a price concession. Maybe they want, too much. I just had a client or a colleague of mine who just was working on a big, marketing services contract, right, Ilania? And so what happened was the client pushed back and said, well, we want letters of agreement and a non-compete thing and a confidentiality agreement. So they wanted all these agreements, and she went, no, I'm not giving that to you. Like, our reputation is really good. We come highly recommended, as you know. I'm not prepared to do that. So tell me what you'd like. Where do you want to go instead? Can you live without that client? And so once you get the client to solve their own problem and tell you what they need, then you are now in the driver's seat. You now still control the sale, and you can decide whether or not, no, is this a good deal? Is this reasonable? Can I do it? Can I give it to them? Can I serve that need? Or do I need to walk? Do I need to walk away from this deal? So try that out. You can try it out with your kids, or if somebody complains about your cooking, hear it out, accept it, thank them. They're only stating a need. They want maybe better food. I don't know. And then ask them to solve it. So, I understand money's an issue. What would it take for us from a financial point of view for us to do business? And get them to offer it. Don't be too quick to discount your price or, offer up too many concessions. Stay true to your value, your worth, and what you do for people. Does that make sense, everyone? Any other questions? Hey, Mike, welcome. I notice you're here tonight, so welcome. Agnes, it looks like you have no question. All right, and if you have any questions, just write in the chat box, and I'll answer them. So what happens now, Elania, is we get into negotiation. So this is a little methodology that I kind of tend to like, and it's negotiating from the left. It's a model that works. And basically, when you're negotiating, you've got to get it back into your opponent's world. So you got to remind them of their drivers for change. Why did they want to see you in the first place? What was driving them to change or to consider a new vendor or to consider your services or products? And then you have to remind them of the implications and cost of failure to respond to your solution, to your idea, to making change. And then you have to remind them of their desire and need for improvement, that they called you because they were tired of their current situation and they had a desire for something better. And that, again, to reiterate your value, your unique value, that by hiring you, you can help them overcome their problems and situations and offer ideas and solutions to them, right? And so you want to reiterate your desired outcome or position. Look, by hiring us, we're going to help you get through that and make the change and realize the future that you wanted to obtain. Welcome back, Diane, as well. Yeah, so this is a negotiation model that's pretty simple to remember. You just want to always have a win-win position in negotiating. You want to sell your own position in the context of what drives your client. So you want to remind the client of the value they're going to get with your solution, with your idea. So right here, you want to reiterate your desired outcome and position for the client. You want to treat the negotiation as part of the sale. So don't, you want to plan for negotiation as well. It's not an afterthought. So this negotiating from the left model works from the left to the right in 5 stages. The first 3 stages represent your client's world on the left, and the final 2 represent your own position on the right, right? So I was going to do some teamwork, but I don't think we're a very active group tonight. So I'm going to pass on that and just jump into keys to some good negotiating. One of the things, again, you have to kind of plan for negotiating because it's going to happen. There's going to be some pushback. There's going to be some, objections that might come up. There could be a little bit of clarity, finding clarity between you and your client. And so you have to plan for negotiation. So it's a really important strategy to have in place and to have goals and objectives when you're going into a negotiating situation. Be really clear on your own goals and objectives, because if you're not clear as to what you want, what you can live with, you might lose a little bit of an edge, and you might compromise your business potentially, right? Another thing that's really important in negotiating is to pick the right environment. So make sure that it's a neutral environment. It's really tough negotiating when there's like you're pitching, business or your proposal and doing a rock solid presentation, but then there's 4 people in the room against you. That's a little bit tough. Sometimes you have to back off and say, look, we're in a negotiation. I'm wondering if we can maybe meet, one-on-one with just the key decision maker, right? You'll feel outnumbered and pressured, and that's not good. And conversely, who's your buyer meeting, 4 of you guys, like 4 of your reps and your company people, they might feel a little bit, overwhelmed by that too. The other thing is, so you might want to have negotiations at a third-party location. Always, pick a good psychological environment for negotiation. Remember, have a sense of neutrality, so both sides feel comfortable, right? They're not in a hostile environment. You're in a relaxed environment. Another thing when you're negotiating is to prepare an opening speech, almost like a lawyer does in when they do the closing speeches in a court case. So you want to reiterate, your position. So remember the negotiating from the left. You want to say, look, client, when we came to meet you, you were looking for this, this, and this. And what we're providing is a clear and direct response to that and a clear solution. And we feel without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to get that service, or you're going to benefit. You're going to gain something. So you want to reiterate your position in your opening speech. Also, again, beware of the authority of your buyer. Make sure that you are dealing with the decision maker. Really not fun to negotiate with somebody who can't even give you the authority to go ahead or not go ahead. And the same thing with the buyer. If they're negotiating with you and you're not, the key decision maker, I'd imagine most of you are because you're self-employed. But just be aware of that. The other critical thing is be prepared to walk away. Sometimes sleeping on it overnight, not a bad idea. Taking a little bit of a break and sleeping on the negotiation and the deal, not a bad idea. You don't want to look too eager to please, yet you don't want to be too aloof. It's a bit of a balancing act. That's why you have to think about, negotiating as part of the overall sales process. So be prepared to walk, because you could compromise your business. You could concede too much. You could compromise your integrity and your position in the marketplace too. Hey, Jean, welcome. Jean has joined us. So you've got to meet your needs. That's another really important point in negotiating. If you don't meet your needs, you're going to erode your business and compromise your success and professionalism over time. So make sure your needs are met, right? So that's why it's really important to know ahead what's your where do you say, you know what, it was good dealing with you, but we can't do it, right? And sometimes you have to walk away. So I always say sometimes the best deal is the deal you turn down. And then number 6 in negotiating, know your prospect. One of the most important parts for preparing negotiating is to really know your prospect inside out. Make sure you're well aware of the client's world before you step into the negotiating room. Make sure you know as much as you can about them. Understand their business, their key performance indicators, the external pressures, the competition, the market, the landscape that they're doing business in, their internal pain points, and their competitive landscape. Listen to what your client says, because they're going to leave clues, right? They're going to leave clues. Sometimes people say, me, I drive a hard bargain, or, we do this, or we do it that way. People leave clues as to their personality. So just be mindful and listen to your client, because you can pick up on some really valuable stuff. Any questions at all before we move ahead to asking for the sale? Any questions? You can write in the question pane, or I've unmuted a few of you. Gina unmuted you just now. Any questions, comments? Okay, not getting anything, so I'm going to move forward. The next part of the sales process is asking for the sale, right? So we've done our presentation. Perhaps we've had to overcome some objection. Maybe we've had to negotiate a little bit. We talked about that tonight. Now you got to ask for the sale, and there's a few closes to consider, a few ways to do it. Sometimes a lot of people have a bit of a hard time asking for the sale. They don't want to be too pushy, but I don't know, if you've gone all that way and the client's hooked and they still like you, you ask for the business, right? So there's a few closes to consider. One's a trial close. Any guesses as to what a trial close is? Why don't you try a little out, or try us out? See if you like us, and then hopefully we can get more of your business. So that's really what a trial close is. Try us on this smaller purchase, and if you like what we do, then, and I guarantee you're going to, then hopefully we can look at, doing more business in the future. There's the direct close, which is, okay, will that be, one or two cases, right? You're just asking for the business, point blank, right? There's the pressure close, and that's exactly what it sounds like. Look, if you don't order by this Friday, the prices go up, right? I'm not a big fan of that one. There's the negotiated close. Okay, Joe, if we can lower the price by 5%, can we get a payment with the order, right? So that's a negotiated sale or close. So you're negotiating, right? Look, if we can do that, can we get this? And then if the client agrees, then you got the deal, right? Or the alternative close. Look, maybe packages A and B are a little too rich. Why don't we try package C and start you off? So we're going to give you an alternative, something that's maybe a little less expensive or a little less risk at this time, and we'll grow into it, right? Yeah. And then there's the assumptive close. So, when you'd like us to start, should we start next week, right? So you're kind of you're assuming you got the deal. There's the rebound close. So that's where you take an objection and turning it around into a closing question. So I get, you need more time on this. If we gave you that time, if you had 2 weeks, would you still do business with us? One other thing that's really important around objections is once you've solved an objection, so let's say it was timing or price or whatever, and you've solved that objection for the client, or you got your client to solve it, and you reach an agreement on price. One of the things that's really important in the sales process is to ask the client, is there anything else holding you back from making a buying decision today? Is there anything else holding you back? You want to minimize all possible objections, because here's an ugly truth. The truth around objections is sometimes the objection you hear is not the true objection. The true objection might be maybe they just don't like your personality. Maybe they just have a bad feeling, or they feel uncomfortable making a switch, right? They're a little too embarrassed to share that. Easier to share the objection of price, others in the office, timing, all that stuff. So make sure when you are handling objections using the HATS theory that once you solve it, just ask the client, is there anything else holding you back? So based on those closing techniques, I want you to write down for a moment what kind of closing techniques you might use, right? What might you use? Because that's really important, to be prepared with a closing technique that you feel comfortable with. Personally, for me, it's the direct close. I don't like to beat around the bush, and I don't want to add pressure on people. I think this one's not a lot of fun. That would be my favorite. The alternative might be my second. So what would work for you? Take a few minutes and write it down in the question bar. I want to hear what you have to say. Another 30 seconds on this. Just pick one. Dan likes the direct close. Dan, you and I are kindred spirits, I think. Any other?
I've learned most of my techniques from you, David. So
Agnes likes the direct close too. So And Jean as well likes the direct close, and Ileana likes the direct close, the trial close, and the negotiated close. So Helia doesn't like pressure, so I guess direct close or the negotiated close would be appropriate. Excellent. Good work, everyone. Good stuff. So yeah, again, integrate this into your sales, process, right? When you're working with clients, integrate the negotiating, integrate the kind of way you'll ask for the business. So don't be afraid to ask for the business, to ask questions, to listen, to get knowledge. Peter Drucker, author Peter Drucker says, my greatest strength as a consultant is to be ignorant and ask a few questions. I love that quote. We're going to move into sort of our final territory for the night, and that is building trust and relationships. Can you write down a few ways that you can build on the trust factor in relationships with your prospects and clients after the sale's made? Sometimes we forget about our clients, right? We got the deal. Who cares? Right? I want you to think to yourself a few ways to build on the trust factor and build on relationships with your prospects and clients. Take a few minutes to do that. As you're writing, I think I shared the story about going into a tire store in downtown Whitby a number of years ago. I was teaching with an organization in downtown Whitby all day, and I took my tires into this local tire store to get new tires. So I went in the morning, I dropped off my car, I picked the tire I wanted at the price point I wanted, and I said, hey, I'll be back at the end of the day to pick up the car and I'll pay for it then, right? So I went and I picked up the car at the end of the day, paid for the tires, and drove off. Well, that tire place made a really big mistake, and this big mistake was they didn't get my information. They didn't ask for my address or my email or my phone number, and they let me go off into the day, because it was summer, without knowing who the heck I was. And I just spent, $400 there, plus, I guess, on 4 tires. And, wasn't unhappy, wasn't paid by Interact, and everything went through, It's like, they just let me drive off, right? They didn't get my contact information. And I thought about that on the drive home, because they have a big sign outside their store that says, the best little tire house in Whitby. And I thought, not the best. Why? Well, they let me go without getting my information. And in letting me go, they lost potentially, I'd say over $1,500, no, maybe $1,200 worth of business over 3 years. How? Well, they could have invited me back once a year to get my tires aligned, rotated, and balanced. That would be maybe $200, right? Over 3 years at $600. Then maybe it was time to get a new set of tires. There's maybe another, $400 to $600, or they could have let me know, hey, we're having a sale, come on back, right? We'd love to see you. We want you to be safe. Come in and get your car treated and taken care of. Get your tires taken care of, right? And they didn't do that. They just let me drive off without knowing who I was and if I'd even come back. And so off I drove, right? And the service was good. It was fine. The quality of the tires were fine, but it wasn't, like nothing I couldn't get elsewhere. So it's really important to look at developing relationships with your clients, because they're often the best source of A, referrals, and B, repeat business. So let's look at some of the answers here. Diane says, do what you say and say what you do in a timeline that you'll do it. Yeah. Be your word and deliver. And check in to see if the client's happy. Yeah, do that feedback. Ask for that feedback. How we doing? You know, how can we improve? Check for or ask clients. Agnes writes, ask clients if they have any problems or concerns that you can provide assistance on. Excellent. After sales service, being available to the client. So Helia writes, answering questions, concerns, find out what their experiences are with the sale, if they need adjustments, and have that authentic interest to really help them. Ileana writes, keep listening to your clients, keep asking questions, deliver on promises, follow up to confirm, keep surpassing expectations, continue to stay close, keep ingratiating yourself into integrating yourself into their business. And Jean writes, excellent answers, everybody. I've sent a follow-up questionnaire survey expressing value that I value their input. If they're on Facebook, you'll like their post, make some comments, invite them to public events that I'm cooking for, encourage them to stop by and my table and say hi, and make sure that I take time to talk and connect with them. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Beautiful answers. So I hope you're all doing that on a regular basis. It's really important, knowing the value of the relationship. I like, taking them to lunch, booking an annual planning session, having them on your newsletter, blog, marketing list, asking them if they're okay if you send them stuff and how much is too much. Invite them to events. I think, Jean, you kind of had that a little bit. Share leads and ideas with them. Always showcase your knowledge and expertise. Excellent. Yeah, because here's the deal. It costs 5 times to get a new customer as it does to keep an existing customer. So that's the value of a relationship. Just the cost factor alone, plus, the time, the energy, the sweat equity. And so relationship, here's your client's perspective, first of all, okay? Relationship selling is all about building a friendship or relationship with your prospects and listening to their needs. So once you show you care, you've earned their trust, you're on the road to making them a customer. Knowing their needs, finding out their secret fears. So here's where your customer could be at. When they're buying from you, they could say, look, if I can't make this project work within my budget, my boss will probably replace me. That's how much your clients rely on you, as well as you relying on your clients, right, to get paid and so on and so forth. So you got to find solutions for them that are exactly on targets with their needs and build even a stronger relationship. Like Diane said, do what you say what you do, right? The relationship is fundamental. So relationship selling, it's more than just maintaining regular contact. You've got to, you got to stay in their world and, connect once in a while, keep all channels of communication open with your client. So a few tactics. What are some ways that you can enhance relationships with your clients and staff or stakeholders? How can you enhance those relationships, those business relationships? What would you do? Take a moment just to write down some points. I love writing thank you notes. That's an idea. I used to take my clients out to a CBC taping at Christmas time. Royal Canadian Air Force used to do live Christmas shows or tapings, and they take them all to Royal Canadian Air Force, and then we'd go out for tea and coffee after. And so my clients got to meet each other after. Diane suggests drop in once in a while, bring food, phone calls, real mail, thank you notes, emails. Ileana writes, check in with them monthly, maybe twice a month. Anyone else? Ah, one more. Okay, good. Jean says thank you notes. Send them the recipe for their dinner and the bill. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, make sure you're really, doing those little things to enhance the relationships with your clients, because the reason they leave you isn't that you really, it's not that you messed up, it's that they're not feeling the love from you, right? And believe me when I say this, but your competitors are right there in the wings going, "Oh good." Right? They're like sharks, like Jaws. They can sniff it out, and if someone's not feeling the love from their vendor and they're feeling a little neglected or ignored, they're gonna have wandering eyes and switch vendors possibly. So Halia writes, trying to become a regular site in their office if possible. Yeah. What? Do you live here? uh, for sure. So, you got to do your work, right? You've got to always do your best. You got to, be open to feedback from your clients. It's another thing is do surveys after the sale. Stay close to the client. Ask for referrals. Ask for more business and ask them to come back more often. Yeah, these three things can actually double your sales if you do that on a consistent basis. They can actually double your sales. I'll just show you by example, okay? So here's a chart. This is going to blow your mind. Say this is the number of clients you have. This is why you need to stay close to your buyer. Say you have 10 customers and they buy once a year and they spend $100. So let's say it's Diane who does lawn, storks, and more. So she's got 10 customers who bought storks for somebody's birthday in their family, and the average sale is $100. So good for Diane. She made $1,000. Woo! Right? But if you just ask your customer base for a referral and only 10% come through for you with a referral, so you've grown your customers from 10 to 11. If you ask your customers, hey, Joe, we're having a sale. Would you like to buy a little extra, right? Come by, a little bit more this year, right? Because we have sales and deals and customer appreciation days, and we have special events. And so let's say your customers say, yeah, okay, we'll buy a little extra when you have a sale. And so you had another 10% increase, and now your customers coming in 1.1 times more, right? 10%. And let's say you said, hey, Joe, would you like fries with that, right? So you got them to buy a little extra. So they're buying the hamburger, but now they're buying fries. So now you've increased the amount they buy by 10%, $110. When you just increase these three things, look at the total. It's $1,331. You've just increased your sales by 30% without spending pretty well a penny, right? Just by staying close, nurturing the relationship, and asking for referrals, asking for more business. Would you like fries with that? Getting your customer to come back a little bit more often. Any questions on that? Is that a little kind of a fun exercise, huh? Just going to show a video, and we're almost going to wrap up momentarily. This is Sales Great Brian Tracy. This is about a 3-minute video on being a sales professional.
Let's talk about the 7 key result areas of sales success. You have the skills and ability right now if you're in sales to sell and earn twice as much as you're earning today, and probably much more. It is said that your attitude more than your aptitude determines your altitude. How high you can soar and how much sales success you can achieve depends on you and your attitude more than anything else. Now, there are 7 key result areas of sales success that if you improve in each of these areas, your sales will increase, and sometimes enormously. These areas represent important parts of the sales process. By mastering these key areas, you'll become a much better salesperson. So focus your time and efforts on improving these areas of your sales strategy to achieve amazing sales success and to increase your income dramatically. The first area is called prospecting power. This is the process of finding more and better qualified people to talk about your product or service. The best salespeople have the most complete strategies and plans to develop the highest quality prospects who can and will buy from them. The second area is relationship selling, building high levels of trust, rapport, and credibility with each prospect. A person will not buy from you until he or she is convinced that you are their friend and acting in their best interests. The third key result area in selling is to identify needs accurately, asking good questions to learn exactly how and why your product or service is the ideal choice for this customer. The most important thing you can do as a salesperson is to uncover the true needs or problems of the prospect that your product can solve. The fourth key result area in selling is making persuasive presentations. This means showing the customer clearly why he should buy your product or service now. Delivering an effective presentation can increase your sales by several times over an uncoordinated or unplanned presentation. The fifth key result area is overcoming objections, dealing effectively with the questions and concerns of the prospect that holds him or her back from buying. In order to increase sales, you must be prepared to hear the word no and continue selling. Objections simply mean that the prospect is interested and wants to learn more. The sixth key result area of sales success is closing the sale. Confidently asking the prospect to make a buying decision and take action is really important. The seventh and final key result area is getting resales and referrals from this prospect or customer. It means taking such good care of your customers that they buy and buy again and tell their friends to buy from you as well. Maintain a customers for life mentality by treating each customer as though you wanted to have them forever. Now, if you improve by just 10% per year, which is less than 1% per month, in each of these 7 areas, the ultimate result will be that your sales and income will double or more over the next 12 months or even faster. Just try it and see. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to subscribe and tell a friend about it. For exclusive content on sales training, leadership, business, and personal success, visit me at briantracy.com. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter. Until next time, go out and create the success that you desire.
What do you think? Good video, huh? Kind of sums up what we've been talking about over the past several weeks, I think. So what have you learned over the past, 6 weeks? What are a few things that you've learned? Any comments? Feedback? Is this it for you now? Like, is this it? And the sales learning and becoming a master at it? Because I'm quite serious about it. If you learn to sell, you'll never have to work for anybody else again. Anything that anybody's learned, you want to just chime in, write a question, unmute yourself?
Hi, David. This is Sohela.
Hey, what have you learned over the past few weeks?
Definitely a lot, but one of the most interesting thing to me was the fact that, like any other aspects of life, knowing yourself and the business, knowing myself and my business, and trying to align it with the prospect's needs, that's the most important thing. And I think kind of works in any relationship. It actually helped me to look a little bit in more details what I'm really doing with this program, and that really helped me to clarify my identity with more clarity, with more in details.
Good.
So thank you for that.
Okay, my pleasure. Jean writes, Be more prepared, planned, and before beginning the sales conversation. For sure, you want to know who you're going to call on. You want to know the kinds of a little bit of information about the clients you're going to call on. So that's really important too. So here's a request I have from all of you, and that is to really commit to becoming a sales professional. You know, read good books on selling. Get a mentor, somebody who's maybe better than you at selling. And if you see sales training seminars, jump at them. Just jump. Elena writes, what did she learn? Oh, hang on. I got to just, there we go. Oh, that making sales as a discipline. It is a discipline. It's an art. It's a lot of psychology. It's understanding you. It's understanding your clients. And, you know, it's listening. It's asking good questions, right? Any questions before we wrap? Any questions? That's where you can get a hold of me if you need me. I'm going to be sending you a survey to fill out in the next couple of days, so be on the lookout for that. And I just want to thank everybody on the call tonight, Tuea, Agnes, Albert, Diane, Eliana, and you've been so great. You know, both of you, you've been on most every week. Jean, Ken, Mike. So, hell, you've been here every week. So you get the best attendance. So that's pretty darn good. So I'm always honored by that because it shows your commitment, and I can't do this without your support too. So I really appreciate it. That will end our 6-week series. Any questions or last comments? Thanks. I'm getting some nice thank yous from Eliana and Diane and Tue. Thank you. And you're welcome. And thank you guys, and just continued success.